So usually I would call myself a realist, although when I'm really bad, it does border on pessimism. But with the way that things are going this year, with the way that this year has stressed us all out, we need some optimism. We need some optimism. Let's talk. And before I get started, obviously I'm going to tell you to go over to patreon.com/AdrianExpression. I'm not sure if this video will be out for everyone on Monday or Tuesday, but if you're watching this on Monday, go over there. Let me know what you want me to talk about on the podcast episode. And if you're watching this on Tuesday, make sure you head over to patreon.com/AdrianExpression to listen to the latest podcast episode I put up. Now, usually I give you all a different style of content on Mondays, but I decided to switch it up, especially because the news tired me out. The news tired me out this weekend. On Monday, I said, you know what? I have to change it up. And also the reason for doing this is because, like I said in the beginning of this video, I think we all need some optimism. This year has really worn us the hell out, and we're nearing the end of it, and it still seems like it's lasting for 2 or 3 eternities. So over it. So I decided to bring you all 8 methods that you can use to kind of survive this year, to live out the rest of this year without absolutely losing the little brain cells that are left, the few amounts of neuron connections that are left after this year has literally took us and squeezed the life out of us, okay? So the first way is to envision the future and envision yourself in the future. And I know this might sound a little weird or like a little Oprah aha moment kind of thing. Oh, that was so unnecessary. I'm sorry. But the reason I say that is because a lot of the time, at least for me, a lot of times the feelings of hopelessness comes from the fact that I don't know where the future is going. I don't know if there's going to be a fucking future, especially with the way that things have been heading, especially with the way the government is not handling things. So a lot of times the reason why you can be trapped in depression is because you cannot see yourself. You can't see the future, and you can't see yourself in the future. So what I mean by envision the future is what are the goals that you want to have next year or in 2022? Where do you want to see yourself in 2021 or 2022? And just constantly picture yourself there instead of the opposite route, which is to picture us completely destroyed, ravaged by a virus, and, you know, fucked up by an election. It is much healthier, even though, like I said, my pessimist and realist side wants to take over. But I think it's healthier for us to envision us achieving the things that we said we're going to, or reaching the goals that we want to in 2021, 2022, having the fun that we see, even if it's like social distance kind of fun, like, or masked up kind of fun. Envision ourselves having fun in 2021, 2022. I think that can alleviate some of the mental fuckery. So I know I said this already, but I want to repeat this. This is the second tip that I have, and I promise you I'm making this video for myself just as much as I'm making it for everyone who watches me. The second one, like I said this before, is to just choose certain times a day, time periods a day, or time periods a week. If you're that type of person where you consume the news for X amount of hours or X amount of time, and then you move on about your goddamn business, okay? The news is set up just like how a lot of streaming services are set up. They don't want, or, you know, social media platforms are set up. They don't want your ass to ever leave the site, right? So they're gonna keep feeding you stuff, even if it's repeating the same shit. And it's like you're just stressing yourself out. You're not learning new information, just giving yourself a whole bunch of anxiety. So an hour or two, maybe, I don't know, you sit down and you get all the news that you need to get for that particular day, and then you just go. And then you move on to something else. If you, I don't know, just sitting, at least that's what I found for me, sitting there, scrolling, reading the news, reading the next updates, and for me, I feel like that will really cause my skull to explode, especially if it's just disgusting news that you're seeing all the time. And I'm someone who I firmly believe that you should be aware of what's going on, but, you know, be aware of it, but make sure it's not screwing your mental health up as much as you can. I know there are certain things that, especially if you're a part of a marginalized group, you cannot avoid. Certain news is just not going to be fun to hear. I understand that, but sitting 8 hours, 10 hours in front of your fucking screen, whether it be your TV screen or your phone screen, just consuming news like that because you want to know what's going on, I personally I'm not, you know, I don't think that's healthy, and I say that to myself as well. You know, the third one, I think I've also alluded to this in the past as well, but it's to find a world to escape into. Now, you may not want to dive into Game of Thrones if you haven't already, because Dan and Dave, they're always going to get dragged from me, okay? Because Dan and Dave ruined season 8. They kind of trashed season 7 up a little bit, but you know, I let some of that shit slide. But you know, find another world, whether it's a fucking anime, whether it's a good ass show, whether it's some fucking music, and that ties into my fourth one as well, which is to find new hobbies or reignite the old ones that you had as well. Just find something to escape into that brings you joy, or that brings you or that ignites your creativity or something like that. Just find other ways for your mind to be utilized than thinking about the bullshit that we are currently in and facing. And like I said, I think we all should be informed, but there should be a limit to, like, okay, girl, like, there's nothing I can do about this situation. I'm gonna sit my ass down. I'm gonna go enjoy something. I'm gonna go read a book. I'm gonna go, you know what I mean, watch a TV show. I'm gonna compose a piece of music if you're Hans Zimmer or some shit. Girls, there are a lot of talented people that watch me and shit. So I don't know, some of you bitches are crazy as hell. Like, y'all are talented as hell. It be scaring the shit out of me. Y'all need to find something. Y'all need to focus on that shit. Y'all are talented, smart, funny. Y'all need to focus on that and try and relax your mind. So the fifth one that I have is to be considerate of others. And I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer, especially when we're going through a pandemic. But I feel like, you know, it may be the natural reaction, or the most common reaction, I should say, in the face of fear, in the face of the danger that surrounds us. You may start to see people become more selfish, more, of course, because, you know, it's human, it's natural to want to survive. But at the same time, we have to remember that the only reason we even survive this long as a fucked up ass species that we are is because we came together, because we joined together. So although there is a, you know, it might be a pull to want to just close off. Of course, you have to close off naturally because of the pandemic. What I'm saying is make sure you have some type of, maybe it's an online community, whatever it is, something where y'all can, where you have a group of people that can check on each other. Because, you know, the more selfish we start to become as a response to all the bullshit that we're facing, the more danger we put ourselves in. And I'm just going to use these crazy ass Trump supporters as an example. That the foundation for their, the base, Trump's base is selfishness. It's, I don't give a fuck. I'm not wearing my mask. I don't give a fuck what you're talking about. You know what I mean? I'm looking out for me, only me. Meanwhile, it's just like, if you do that, we're all going to destroy each other. So like, look out for one another. Try to resist the urge to be completely selfish. Not only will that mean that you're helping someone else, but that means that when it's time for you to be helped as well, you're gonna most likely get it, you know, as opposed to just having this selfish view of the crisis or the world and not everybody's, you know, fucked. Number 6 is kind of in the same vein as that, but it is to speak to people that you trust about how you're feeling. I know that probably sounds very elementary, but there may be some people who are just like, girl, everybody's going through this shit and I feel like shit, so I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna burden anybody else. But if you are able to find someone that you trust, you can talk about, girl, you know, COVID going around, this election is crazy, the government don't want to help people, my creativity is down because I feel like I'm stuck and stifled, or you're just not seeing as many people as often as you would if we weren't in this crisis. You know, some people just dying for a damn hug. Whatever it is, I think it's healthier if we talk about it instead of pretending like, oh yeah, everything's fine, everything's normal. We're going through a whole ass pandemic and an economic crisis, but no, I'm gonna sit here and act like I have all my shit together because I'm looking around and everybody else around me seem like they have it together. So I'm just gonna shut the fuck up. No, girl, it's not like that. And if people are acting like they just totally fine, living the dream, they're either super rich or they're faking. I mean, that's my opinion, but it is what it is. So I think if we are able to find ways to vent, but vent to each other, make sure it's not one-sided, if that's not making any sense, just to get that shit out, get it out. Before, I didn't really see as much value in doing that as I do now. But like I said, that ties into my previous point about building some sort of community that you can depend on, especially during these times. So number 7, I put journal, but I don't even do that. So I gotta put it in there for the people who journal, to not only journal, but to look back at the previous things that you journaled about or that you went through in life and apply it to what you're going through now. What, you know, apply it to 2020 and be like, bitch, if I got through that, then I can get through this as well. So you don't even have to journal. You don't have to be someone who journals, but just think about the things that you have experienced. Think about the things that you've survived. Think about the hard times that you thought you would never fucking get through, and you did. You got through them, even if it hurt. And just apply that to what we are experiencing right now. And I think it will be a little bit easier, just shifting your perspective. It could be a little bit easier to handle whatever we're experiencing in this moment. Also in that same vein, I think it is very healthy for us to remind ourselves that just because this particular thing is happening right now does not mean that it is the end of the world, even though it does feel like it. And even though these politicians keep playing, it could probably be, but you know what I mean? I mean that, you know, a lot of crises, a lot of fucked up shit has happened this is in human history, you know what I mean? Or in your life. And it just because something horrible is happening for a long extended period of time does not mean that it necessarily is going to stay that way forever. So I think just reminding ourselves about that could help us as well. And the eighth thing, the last thing, is to try and focus your brain power on things that can be changed, or things that you can change, things that you can alter in your life, in your friend's life, actions that you can personally take to change or to shift, improve how you're feeling, improve what's going on, right? And that sounds like a no-brainer, but at least for me, sometimes I use my brain power on things that I cannot fucking change. I am not Daenerys Stormborn, as much as my ass wants to be. I don't have no goddamn dragon. I don't have superpowers. I can't go up to these hoes and be like, give us what we need, or else I don't have the power to change governments. I don't have the power to change what the virus is doing to people's bodies. I don't have the power to change the economic bullshit that we're going through, racism. I don't have the power to do that. So instead of wasting my brain power and stressing myself out and giving myself anxiety over things that I literally cannot fucking change, I need to focus my power. I need to focus my brain cells, what's left of them, like I said, on the things that I can personally do to change whatever it is I think needs to be changed, right? I think if we all do that, that's how the world progresses, that's how the world gets to where it needs to be. But a lot of times it can be very tempting. It's like a trap to start thinking about the shit that has fucked you over, has fucked your people over, and just like, oh, I'm so angry. It is a valid response in my opinion. But it turns into a waste of time when you cannot directly change that shit, when you cannot use all this energy that you have sapped from your body. You can't take that energy and apply it to something. So I mean, that's like I said, personally for me, that's what I'm trying to do. Instead of worrying so much, you know, people giving themselves migraines, instead of worrying so much about the things that the individual cannot change at all, it would be more useful, logically, it would just be more useful to use that energy to focus on the things that you actually can change. And I know I talked about this a little bit on my podcast on Patreon, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna use skating as a way for, you know, stress relief or whatever it is. But that's kind of how you have to think about it. Okay, I cannot change, like just sit and think, okay, I'm stressing out about the fact that, let's just choose some shit. COVID is fucking us up and white supremacy is reigning forever. I'm stressing out about that. I'm sitting here losing my mind about that. Is that efficient? It might be a logical response, but is it efficient? And I feel like you have to ask yourself that if you're wearing your brain down doing this, because you're going to destroy yourself. So ask yourself, is it efficient? Okay, I can't change white supremacy. I cannot change COVID-19, but what can I do? I can go to the park. I can skate. That's what I had to tell myself. I can write something. I can read something. I can make something. I could do something, you know? But yeah, the more I talk, the more I realize, like, girl, this video is definitely for you, girl. But I hope someone can benefit from what I'm saying, just because I know how hard it is to escape from the trap that is your mind. So just kind of having a bullet pointed list or something more tangible to hold on to see map a pathway to kind of help you deal with what's going on, that can probably help a little bit. So yeah, let me know what y'all thought of this video. I loved making it. It was very therapeutic. Yeah, like I said, make sure you check out my Patreon at patreon.com/AdrianExpression. A new podcast episode will be going up over there on Tuesday. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope that you have a good goddamn evening.